Good evening, Wood County. I'm Brooke Ebersole, General Manager here at BG24 News. Every week we bring you the stories that matter most on campus, in the community, across the state, and across the nation. The Producers Panel is where we take a step back and talk about the stories in our own opinion. But these opinions do not reflect the views of the organization and do not impact the way we cover these stories or any others. Tonight we'll dive into the latest Job Expo here on campus. We'll then discuss the current success of the Falcon hockey team before finally expanding out and discussing the latest national news. It's all here on your BG24 News Producers Panel. For tuning into Producers Panel tonight, I'll take a minute now and introduce our panel. To my right, we have Matt Heitkamp, Executive Producer at BG24, and to my left, our Sports Director, Katie Wernke. Thanks for joining me tonight, guys.
You're welcome.
Absolutely.
The 2015 Spring Job Expo was held this past week at BGSU. Reporter Kayla Shadler has the story.
To explore many different job and internship opportunities. Director of the Job Expo, Jeff Jackson, says he thinks this is a good tool for students.
Students don't have a lot of opportunities to meet with employers. And so I always encourage students, when they have an opportunity to meet with employers, to come and do it, because it gives them a chance to make a first impression.
Jackson says he tries to cater to all BGSU students with diverse majors by selecting a variety of employers. Sophomore Nicholas Bush says he thinks the job fair is a great experience for students who are just starting their careers.
Absolutely, I think it's really great to see all the different employers. I just think it's a really great experience and get a lot of exposure.
The Job Expo has been running for many years and will continue to do so every fall and spring. Reporting for BG24 News, I'm Kayla Shadler.
Now, I'll be completely honest, I have not been to a job fair yet at BG.
I haven't either.
You guys are missing out. Let me tell you what, it is a great experience. Even if they don't have a specific job that you're looking for there, just to get there to talk to people. They give you tips on, you know, like interviewing and your resume and other stuff. It just gets you a kind of experience to just going out there to find a job, which is very important, obviously, because once you get to that point, which like I know myself am at, it's important to go out there and get ready for after college life.
Do you go there and like actually get interviewed by employers, or
no,
is it just about getting your resume and your name out there?
They'll set up separate like interview times and stuff. You just go there, you'll introduce yourself. They'll set up like booths, basically, like certain employers will. And you go up to them, you'll talk to them, they'll ask you questions, you can ask them questions, you hand them your resume, they might look at it, whatever, and then if they get in contact with you later, and then that's when, you know, that would happen.
And then I think from what I understood from the package, it caters to every type of major and every type of career.
It really does try to. I mean, obviously, not every profession out there is going to be in one building at one time. And I know BG holds many events like this throughout the year. So it's important to go out there and look and see, you know, when the kind of job you're looking for is having some kind of expo or job fair.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of the job fairs on campus that I've seen, because I've looked at, you know, who's going to be there and what you can expect, and I feel like a lot of people who are there are companies, and if you're looking for a specific job, that might not necessarily help you if, say, you're in broadcast, or if you're looking for a teaching job. Looking at companies might not necessarily help you.
Yeah, especially teaching. I feel, you know, you don't. I'd be interested to know how they pick what vendors they're going, or not, they're not even vendors, they're companies.
Right.
What companies they're going to bring into this job fair, you know, and do they contact companies that don't agree to come to the job fair, you know, and they say, no, we want someone to reach out to us, you know, we're not going to come and recruit people.
It does tend to be, like you said, companies and sort of like squished to that area, but I don't know. That is a good question, whether or not how they pick who comes or not. It's probably people who have done it before, and so they continue to do it. Someone who obviously is probably local, because that way they don't have to travel far to get here.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe when it's warmer, I'll walk out there. I had someone tell me, no, you're not supposed to go as an underclassman. It's just for juniors and seniors.
Really?
Yeah, they said if you go out there and you give them your resume, you're wasting your time because they're not going to call you.
Well, I know like certain other expos are more, you know, for internships, not just, you know, jobs after graduation. Some of them are like for internships and summer jobs and opportunities like that, which obviously underclassmen would be much more involved with.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the university did do a good job of getting it out there. You know, I got several emails about it. And they did a good job of not putting too much information out there as to where I was like, oh, well, there's nothing that would have interested me there. You know, unfortunately, I had a class at this time that this job fair was going on, but had I not, I might have gone out there to just see, who was there, what it was about, you know, how this works, so that when come the time that I am looking for a job, you know, I kind of can handle the ropes and I know how it goes.
See, I've never really been that interested in going to one. I've seen the opportunities, and I've just never been interested in going to a job fair. I think the thing that holds me back is seeing who is going to be there. And if I see that Coca-Cola is going to be there, I'm like, well, that's not going to help me.
That's
so
like a
why
business.
would I go?
Yeah, that's for
so I think for the jobs that I am looking for, I don't know that job fairs can necessarily help everybody, and I don't think that they're for everybody. And I'm just one of those people that they're not for.
well, let me ask you guys this. Do you at least take advantage of the other things like the Career Center here?
No.
Like to go to them to check out your resume, or they have an online service too where you can put your
I've sent
resume
my
through
resume into
career,
them.
the career thing.
I have actually done neither of those. I have done the website where you can look for jobs online, and I had to send my resume in for that.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm more one where I like to go to professors and people who know me.
That's true.
And get advice from them, because they know what I've done and they know what experience I have. So having them look at my resume and maybe being like, oh, maybe you should put your producing experience above your writing experience or something.
Yeah.
So I think talking to someone who actually knows you is better.
Yeah, my freshman year in plain old GSW, I had a teacher that made us submit our resume to them. And at the time, I just thought, this is so stupid. Like, why do I need to do this? And, you know, your first semester of college, you don't have a whole lot on your resume. But she said, put on there what you think, you know, what you can see yourself doing in the next 4 years here. And so I did, you know, and that lady sent it back to me and said, this is really good. You know, I really hope you can achieve all these things, tweak this and this and this. And, you know, it was helpful.
Yeah. And let me tell you what, that resume will change every year, because every year you'll obviously have stuff to add to it, but then every time you take it to a different professor, to a different service, they'll say, oh no, you have to do it this way instead. That's my experience in it, because I have had in the past 4 years probably about 8 different resumes and format stuff, because everyone tells me to keep changing it.
Yeah, and I think it's a matter of personal opinion to some extent, you know. Don't make your name too big, don't make your name too small, this, that, and the other thing.
What font to use,
Right.
how it should be set up. I think that does all come down to personal opinion as well. Maybe I just want to do everything myself. I don't know, and accept help from no one. But I do think that it is, you know, in the end, it is all a matter of personal opinion and how you think that it should be set up. Because it's what you're handing out to someone.
Right. So. Yeah. Well, coming up after the break, the BG hockey team is nationally ranked. We'll discuss the recent success when we return. Falcon hockey has seen recent success after the Bring Back the Glory campaign started nearly 6 years ago. The team is currently 18-7-5 and holds a number 8 ranking in the USCHO polls. Despite the winning record, head coach Chris Bergeron says he wants the focus to remain on the process of winning rather than the records.
We can't get so focused on the results, and as a coach, when you're in a results-oriented world, you get so wrapped up with the results, and you're up and down like a yo-yo, and especially the last 4.5 years where the results haven't been as positive as we would have liked. I do feel like sticking to the process is paying off, but it'll continue to, because we're not going to change based on the results being a little bit better.
Well, Katie, I know as sports director, you've been following this very, very closely, and I'm sure that it has been a very riveting and exciting experience along the way here.
It absolutely has. And as Chris Bergeron said, you can't so much focus on the records, but you have to focus on this campaign. The Bring Back the Glory campaign started in 2009 when really the university didn't know what to do with this hockey program. They didn't know whether it was going to stay on campus. They didn't know whether to get rid of it. Really, they are trying to bring back the glory from the 80s and the 70s, because in the 90s and the early 2000s, it just sort of fell through the cracks. They had losing records, no postseason tournaments besides the conference tournament. So it did just sort of fall through the cracks, and this campaign has brought it back. And we're seeing success now, and I think it is working.
I'm super glad that they did bring it back and keep it going, because I grew up in a small town. We didn't have a hockey team, like in high school or anything. I never watched a hockey game until I came to BG. Now I love it. I mean, hockey games are it's a different experience than other sporting events.
Yeah, they definitely are fun.
They are.
I'm trying to think of the word. It's different than a football game. It's different than a basketball game. You know,
it's more energy. There's a lot more energy, and it's such a fast-paced game that the energy stays throughout all 3 periods of the game. And
Yeah.
having our team be 18-7-5 and hold that number 8 ranking in the country.
ranking.
We've seen the ice arena packed almost every weekend that they're home now. They'll be
Yeah.
home this weekend against Northern Michigan. So it's a very exciting time for Bowling Green hockey.
Something that I think is prideful for BG is, our big rival to Little Rockets up north. They don't have a varsity hockey team, and so the thought of us losing our varsity hockey team and then, just going right back down to club and almost in a way being even with UT, it's kind of scary. And, I think that was probably a motivating factor behind launching this Bring Back the Glory campaign.
Absolutely, and like I said earlier, what they really are trying to do, they are trying to bring back that glory, because I said in the 80s, in 1984, that's when we won our national championship. In the late 70s and early 80s, we went to 9 NCAA tournaments in 2 decades. That's incredible, and we haven't been back since 1990. So to finally have a shot at making it back there, we're going to give the WCHA conference title a run for its money now. It's a very, very exciting time to be a Falcon hockey fan and to even be on that team. And I think looking at how they did last year and having 11 freshmen on this roster now and still experiencing all of the success that they've had, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I'm excited the fact that they're 8 in the nation right now. 16 teams get selected for that tournament, and like you said, they haven't made that tournament in a long time. To have that opportunity to even possibly make it to the Frozen Four in Boston this year, I couldn't tell you the excitement if they made it. I'd go to Boston just to watch that. That would be awesome.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but long time ago, there was a player that played for BG and then went on to be on the national team that ended up beating the Soviet Union, correct?
Yes, there were actually 2 players on the Miracle on Ice team, Ken Morrow and Mark Wells. And those 2 players, they were on the Miracle on Ice team, and it was in the 80s and 70s, BG hockey was a household name in the collegiate hockey world.
Yeah. That Miracle is one of my all-time favorite movies, and so to see those 2 faces up there on the wall, in the hallway where you're walking behind the bleachers, that just blew me away. It makes you proud to be a Falcon.
A little off topic, but you talk about the Miracle on Ice. I just watched the 30 for 30 about the Russian team that got beat, the Soviet Union team that got beat. That was very interesting.
And fun fact to connect the Miracle on Ice to Bowling Green hockey, when we won our 1984 national championship, it was in Lake Placid in the same arena where we beat the Soviet Union.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
That's
That is cool.
Yeah.
Okay, this is going to sound random. Explain to me the Church of Dufour concept.
You know what, that's one that I haven't quite got onto yet. I mean, Kevin Dufour, he's an outstanding player as a sophomore. He leads the team in goals. He at one point led the nation in goals, so he's a very good player. I'm not exactly sure what the Church of Dufour is. I think it's just sort of a joke. And
I think that's just like a fan thing, a fan-based thing, because that's another thing about the hockey games. Like, the hockey fans are awesome. Like, the different chants and stuff they do with the newspapers and how they crumble up and throw them, and all their different chants that they say that, that I couldn't say on air here because I wouldn't be allowed to. At other sports, I mean, you have that kind of camaraderie between the fans, but especially with BG, the hockey games where it's at.
It absolutely is.
So for future games in this upcoming season, what's the game plan? Let's get into the WCHA tournament. What is Bergeron? What does he have in store?
There are only 6 games left in the regular season. We have next weekend, this coming weekend, which is home, and then away, and then we're home again. And then it's straight on to the WCHA tournament. And that tournament is going to be hard because Minnesota State is ranked 2nd in the nation. Michigan Tech is ranked 4th in the nation, and then we're 8th. And so 3 of the top teams in the country are in the WCHA. So it is going to be a very tough road to get to that championship game. We made it to the Final 5 last year. Hopefully we can, push it on through and make it a little farther, but it's going to be a tough road ahead. The last 6 games Bowling Green should realistically win those games, but we'll see if they get ahead of themselves. It's interesting.
I think, tough is a good word. Impossible is not.
Nothing's impossible.
It's impossible.
No, and it's great to see a school like BG that it's not an Ohio State. It's not Michigan. It's a fairly small establishment. And so to be number 8 in the nation is a pretty big deal.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's especially like you said, we're not the Ohio State. We don't have the top football program. We don't have the top basketball program, but we do have a top hockey program.
Yeah.
And that is really exciting for the fans. It brings back the tradition. It it's Bowling Green hockey.
Yeah.
It's also the first time in 3 years that I've been in BG where we've had a nationally ranked team, because our football team, I mean, we've been better, we've been worse, but we've never been like nationally ranked like that. So to have that, it gives you pride. It does, because I'm always jealous of my Ohio State, people, friends who go there who win the national championship. I mean, that'd be awesome to just have that feeling of being a part of that university.
I think hockey is a sport that you really have to have a love for that kind of sport to watch it, unless the team is good. So
absolutely.
Yeah, for BG to be good and really be recruiting more than just the people like the bleacher creatures who are diehard hockey fans.
Yeah.
It's incredible to see people that realize, really what big of a deal this is.
It really is, and even looking at Bowling Green sports as a whole, just how much they've improved. Our football team, going to the MAC championship, winning the bowl game, and then our men's basketball program, first in the MAC right now, trying to hold on to that spot tonight against Miami. And then our hockey team, nationally ranked. Our women's basketball team had one of the best programs last year. It's Bowling Green sports, it's becoming a very exciting time.
Very quickly becoming
Absolutely,
a very exciting
within the
thing.
past year or two.
Yeah, that's awesome. Falcon hockey is definitely my favorite sport to attend and to support here at this university.
It's a great environment.
Yeah. Coming up when we return, we will discuss current events happening in the United States and around the world. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are now going to shift from conversation from campus to national news and around the world. Well, I think something that is not only affecting us here on campus, but also affecting us around the state, and I think across the Midwest in general, is frigid temperatures.
Yes, it continues to be freezing cold. We are setting record temperatures. I know last week, and actually the whole month of February could get close to being the second coldest February in the history since we started recording it. And I believe it was last Sunday, tied for the lowest record for that date. So it's cold, and not only here, but in places like Boston, where we're getting even worse than we are.
I was just going to say, if you think it's cold here, go to Boston.
Yeah.
I just saw a picture, and the snow was over the Green Monster in Fenway.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty high now.
That's high.
Yeah.
And we had a terrible winter last winter. It was sub-zero temperatures, but it was also snow. And not that we haven't seen snow this year, but I think these sub-zero temperatures and this frostbite advisory has really come more into play this winter than it did last. And we saw our fair share of snow there a couple weeks ago where it was just inhibiting any kind of driving or anything, but now we have a completely different problem. And last year people were saying, oh, well, next winter is going to be worse. Some people were saying it's not going to be so bad. And I feel like maybe comparing apples to oranges.
I don't think you can. I don't know how people do that too. They do that. They're like, oh, this one was bad, so the next one's not going to be bad.
Yeah.
It's going to be what it is. That's what it is.
It's Northwest Ohio.
Right. It's going to be cold. Yeah. And we know that.
I think it's interesting to see that I know UC is on their third calamity day. OU has already closed for tomorrow. Here we are at Bowling Green.
That's right.
Trucking on.
I have seen. I'm from Cincinnati, and I have seen some of the weather pictures, and the roads are horrible in Cincinnati.
Oh,
still.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not just the cold temperatures, although they were called off a few times last year for cold temperatures, and we were trekking out in negative 20 degree
Yeah,
wind chill.
It's because they're those Southerners. They're way down.
That's where my
they're way
complaint
down
is.
south
They're
there.
not, even though it's, 4.5 hours from here?
3.
They're 3. It's almost incredibly different, because they're not getting that lake effect wind, they're not getting the lake effect snow. So for them, anytime it's below 0, no school, and here it's got to get down to negative 20, negative 15 for us to maybe even consider not,
to not have school. It absolutely does. The thing with Cincinnati too is I was talking to my mom on the phone, and she told me, she's like, oh, Katie, next weekend it's supposed to be 50 degrees. And I'm like, oh, it's supposed to be 32 here. Like, you enjoy that weather. So it does make a big difference, even a few hours.
Yeah. Well, this year is really going to pick up for us soon because we've got the presidential elections coming in November, which is going to be intense.
Coming up in 2016, yeah.
2016 elections, you know, Obama has run his course now, and I know Hillary Clinton is maybe considering running again.
She is. Everyone knows she is going to run again, and then she's like the person who everyone knows is going to run. For other Democrats, it's Joe Biden also has potential to run, and then besides him, it's a bunch of other like lower senator, governor type levels. But I know for like the Republicans, it's Jeb Bush. So we got another Bush brother who is going to be running again, and even Ohio's governor John Kasich is saying he might be running as well.
The thing with the Republican Party is it is wide open. It's a wide open race. I mean, we just had Mitt Romney step down and say he wasn't going to run as of now because he feels that if he were to run, it would take away any potential of the Republican Party winning this election. So we have Jeb Bush, there's Chris Christie, there's 10 other people. I know Donald Trump was in the mix there.
Oh, good Lord.
I think it was only a 2% chance, but I mean, there's Rand Paul still. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's early yet, but yeah, I saw a list earlier, and it goes on for both parties, and it's just waiting to see them narrow it down to those final two for the primaries to see who's going to be running for office.
My political views aside, I really, really support Hillary Clinton, you know, for not only taking all of the jabs that are thrown her way, you know, the awful language and the sexism that is just thrown at her. And, you know, we, 8 years ago, were so excited to have an African-American president. And, you know, I think this presents a great opportunity for us to now have a female president.
It is a great opportunity. I don't think it'll happen.
I know.
I think the public will turn their eye once it gets there. I'm not sure, honestly, because I think it's going to go back and forth, Republican and Democrat every 4 years or every 8 years because everyone gets so fed up with that president and that party, so they elect the other party. So.
Yeah. Well, generally, you know,
it
doesn't normally go
always,
Democrat, Republican, Democrat,
no,
Republican.
obviously not, but that's my prediction anyway, that'll happen.
It will be very interesting. I expect that we will see many votes for Hillary Clinton because she is a female running for president. And honestly, I think that, you know, the split party for the Republicans can really hurt them in this upcoming election.
Oh, yeah.
If Hillary Clinton is the main Democrat candidate after the primaries, then it's going to be a close race. It would be a very close race.
It's going to be an exciting year. Coming up, Matt and I will wrap up our show for you tonight. Stay with us. Well, to end our show on a lighter note tonight, we're going to touch on the 2015 Oscars that are coming up on Sunday.
That's why I'm pretty excited for these, mainly because Neil Patrick Harris is hosting, and every time he hosts a show, it's hilarious. And we have some very, very good films up for Best Picture: American Sniper, Selma, The Theory of Everything, and those are just a few to name amongst a good amount.
Yeah, the thing about the Oscars that I like is these movies get introduced to me that I had never heard of, you know, and even though they were in the past year, I'll go back and watch them, you know, and it almost is, it is even more publicity for that movie that is nominated, or, you know, maybe not even win, but is nominated, and takes me to go, you know, search it out.
Exactly. Well, see, that's the thing about like Oscars. It's because the Academy picks these movies. They're not always going to be your top box office sellers, like, you know, like your Marvel movies. They're going to be your thinking movies, your deeper movies that have meaning and stuff behind them, and that might even have that much production value. But when the critics, because that's who they are, they're critics, they could deep look into these films and they'll pick the winner. And then obviously, yeah, once these winners come out, and then everyone's like, oh, I should go see that movie.
Yeah, I know American Sniper really.
That one actually did very successful for box office, and for an Iraq war film is very surprising.
And I think it was interesting to hear everybody's different take on it. You
Yeah.
know, is Chris Kyle a hero? Is he a villain for killing people? You know, it was because it was so successful, but people had such wide opinions about it.
Very much, yeah. I mean, a movie like that, which was very good, I thought Clint Eastwood did a great job with it. I mean, yeah, and that was the beauty of that movie. I thought it allowed you to look at it in both ways, and it made people think about the whole, you know, the whole topic of the Iraq War and the American hero and all that.
Yeah, and I know there was a book about it too that some people read prior to going to see the movie, which even further kind of enhanced your opinion about it.
Yep. A lot of other good movies too. I know, like I saw Imitation Game with Benedict Cumberbatch, and that's not going to win, I don't think, because I mean it was good though. It was really good. I mean, you got that out there. The guy, a lot of the nominations for Best Actor. I know there was a guy that played Dr. King in Selma. I think he has a great chance to win because he was phenomenal in that film.
I heard good things about Selma.
And Bradley Cooper for American Sniper.
Yeah.
Again, we're bringing up American Sniper. I feel like that'll get. I mean, it's nominated for a bunch. I really doubt it takes home a lot of the awards, though.
Yeah. Well, that's all for your BG24 News Producers Panel tonight. Make sure you check out these stories and more on our website and Facebook page. And feel free to tweet us about your thoughts on the show. Have a good night, everyone.